This is Hannibal here from thehannibaltv.com with my weekly review of the points I find interesting in Dave Meltzer's Wrestling Observer newsletter. And just a quick note, I am going to be doing a live interview with the Wolf himself, Marty Jannetty, in about an hour or so. Sometime probably just before 2 p.m. We will take fan questions during that interview. But let me jump into the news. Beth Phoenix, who maybe wrestled less than 10 times in the last few years, has been released from her WWE contract. She is, of course, married to Edge. So there's probably a good chance we'll see her in AEW. We reported earlier this week, or I reported earlier this week as well as Meltzer, that Lashley and MVP are going to be gone from the WWE when their contracts run out soon. Triple H confirmed this in a recent interview, saying, quote, "It's just like any sport or business. We sign talent, talent's contracts run out, we release talent. It's just part of the process," end quote. So, I mean, Lashley was never one of Triple H's guys. Triple H is more of a Sami Zayn guy. By the way, Sid commented recently, he did an interview saying that it's more likely he'll be in the Hall of Fame now that Vince is out. There's more of a chance. And he also said Sami Zayn should never have beaten Gunther. Because now, for instance, isn't Gunther supposed to be wrestling Damian Priest for the quote-unquote world title at SummerSlam? But it's like, you just lost to Sami Zayn. The main matches that people care about going into SummerSlam are CM Punk against McIntyre and Liv Morgan against Rhea Ripley, which they're doing a great job with that angle. But like, nobody thinks Solo is going to beat Cody, and like, there's just nothing else really that interesting. Oh, by the way, Beth Phoenix has not wrestled since February 23. And she was also used as a commentator for NXT during this run. And she had retired in 2012, but she came back during the 2018 Women's Rumble. London Mayor Sadiq Khan had a meeting with Tony Khan and Triple H this week to discuss bringing WrestleMania to London, which would likely be at Wembley Stadium, where they could get probably a bigger crowd than AEW got at that stadium last year. WWE's highest ever paid attendance was 79,800 for the 2016 WrestleMania. They might be able to break that at Wembley Stadium. AEW got a higher paid attendance last year at Wembley Stadium, 81,035. But this year, they only have about half that pre-sold. Right now, obviously, AEW's not as hot this year. The record crowd at Wembley was 98,000 for a 2017 Adele concert and 94,000 for a Tyson Fury fight with Dylan White back in 2022. Ronda Rousey is having another kid. John Nord, who I've interviewed 3 times, and I really like him. He's kind of like, I like all these Minnesota guys. They're all similar. They're all really nice, laid back, down to earth guys. Berserker, anyways, he's battling an infection in his knee and blood after getting knee replacement surgery, so I wish him the best. Dave Bautista, as I reported earlier this week, appeared on Jimmy Fallon with a huge weight loss, which is actually healthier for your heart. He's 55 now. Apparently, people saying Punk getting a new contract, apparently they're just going to extend his contract. It had a rollover clause, but the Survivor Series contract he signed last year was just a short-term contract, I guess, to test out how things were going. They appear to be going great. Nick Khan sold almost $5 million in WWE stock last week. SmackDown last Friday in Omaha did 9,193 fans. Raw this week in Green Bay, 6,343. No update on the Netflix documentary on Vince McMahon. It'll be interesting because originally that was going to be a dark documentary, but now, even though Vince is technically not involved with WWE, would it benefit Netflix at all to put out a documentary that could potentially have some negative backlash on WWE? Who knows? Triple H is basically saying Lesnar can come back whenever he wants to come back. He's still under contract, from my knowledge. I know Chael Sonnen did an interview recently saying, why isn't anyone sticking up for Brock Lesnar? Well, he makes like 12 something million a year to hardly wrestle, and I think he's still under contract. He's just off TV. He's getting paid to do nothing. So why is nobody sticking up for him? Because like it's not like he's sitting at home crying. He's a farmer that also has a farm business. And he's a multi-millionaire. The AEW Dynamite and Rampage Blood and Guts taping in Nashville, Tennessee had over 5,000 fans this week. Warner Brothers Discovery is filing a lawsuit against the NBA claiming breach of contract because they're leaving to go to Amazon Prime. This is probably a good thing for AEW because Warner Brothers Discovery would have had to pay a lot of money to keep the NBA. Who knows what's going to happen out of this lawsuit, but it seems like the NBA and Amazon Prime is going to be something that's going to happen. Jeff Hardy, who I don't think was ever used on TV after his DUI arrest, but they still kept him under contract for months and months and months. He said that the DUI cost him and Matt a tag team titles run. Hardy was not at the recent TNA taping in Montreal because he can't get his Canada. WWE can pull strings to get people into places. Like, I know one of the holds up with Jacob Fatu for a while was he had a previous record, which was a long time ago, and of course he overcame it. But like, one of the holds ups of him signing for so long was that record. But obviously they have strings to pull. Vader told me he had a record of some sort. Where they had to do something for his too. I think it was for beating up a guy that cheated on one of his exes, according to what Vader told me. AEW dropped the Elton John Saturday Night's Alright for Fighting song for Collision. People don't like the new song. I don't even like the new song. The creator of the song, Mickey Ruckus from AEW, says, hey guys, it's okay. I knew it would be universally hated. Change is inevitable. Well, if you knew it was going to be universally hated, why didn't you try and make it better? I realize a lot of people, I'm not the biggest Elton John fan. I'm not a fan of his music, to be honest with you. I don't hate it, but I don't like it. Anyways, you could have had something better that's not Elton John, because no, like one of the things you were saying, you can't upgrade from Elton John. Well, you can, because for the people that don't like Elton John, guys like me that like 80s metal and lots of other tastes, I mean, you could do a different style of song rather than just the annoying music you're using now. Melanie Santos, 40, the wife of Brian Cage, has signed with AEW. She used to be the ring announcer for Lucha Underground. Good for her. They're still signing people. I mean, I like Brian Cage a lot. He seems like a really nice guy. He's close friends with Jenny Santana, who always talks highly of him to me. So I'm glad his wife is getting signed, but it's just, It's funny because we hear about AEW cutting back on stuff like trademarked songs, but they still hire all these people to keep them under contract that you already have an overblown roster. For the Ring of Honor AEW show last night, for anyone that cares about this, which I couldn't tell you really any wrestlers from CMLL or AAA. I know Conan's involved with AAA, but there was AAA and CMLL talent on the AEW Ring of Honor pay-per-view last night. Commander is the AEW Cruiserweight Champion, and Atlantis Jr. was also on the show, one of CMLL's stars. So I guess for people I don't know how many people are buying these pay-per-views for Mexico, but oh my God, Commander and Atlantis Jr. were on the same show. I'm marking out. No, that's not exactly something I would care about. Tony Khan said in an interview yesterday that he's thinking of rebranding Ring of Honor, quote unquote, AEW Ring of Honor. Even Kerry Silkin, the old owner of Ring of Honor, does not like how AEW is using Ring of Honor. Here's what I don't understand. AEW is the stronger brand than Ring of Honor. Why don't you just drop Ring of Honor? Honestly, nobody cares about it. People leave after the tapings in AEW when you start taping the Ring of Honor. Why don't you just call it AEW? I don't know. Maybe I don't know what AEW's profit margin is like, or if it's actually worth doing this Ring of Honor, whatever it is for people to buy it. But like, it just makes the shows so much longer. Nobody's over. By the way, they still have both. We heard a while ago they were going to drop the 6-man titles in Ring of Honor and just have AEW 6-man titles. There's still Ring of Honor 6-man titles. The Von Erichs and Dustin Rhodes are expected to win them at one of these Arlington tapings. But it's like, it just shows you, like, first of all, why 6-man titles have never been over. Kevin Sullivan even said it. Like, why do them? The only way you can get 6-man titles over is if you have, like, remember when Demolition had Axe, Smash, and Crush? If you had numerous teams that were really over as like threes, then people would care. Otherwise, it's just a useless title. In TNA news, as far as their event last week at the Verdun Auditorium, just outside Montreal, that had the largest crowd they've had in many years, had around 3,000 paid. PCO was going to local independent shows, selling tickets, selling them a lot to people personally. Apparently, a ton of people left after the PCO match on the show. And some people just bought tickets from him and didn't go to the show. He had he used all of his media contacts to pack the place. There was also Battle Royal with local wrestlers where they had to have tickets to get on the Battle Royal. So it's not, I mean, TNA is more popular now than it's been in a few years, but it's not like if this was a TNA show without PCO pushing it and all the extras they did in the local market, that it would have had 3,000 people. And also, I've wrestled in that arena, sold out with Jacques Rougeau. Jacques Rougeau sold out that arena every time he ran that arena, even in recent years. So it might look impressive to outside people, but like for Quebec wrestling, that's an arena that can draw. And there hasn't been a show at that arena for several years now. Let me think. I think it was around 2015 that Jacques last ran it. So like almost 10 years. A lot of people also left after the Mike Bailey match where they used Earl Hebner. Apparently for the television taping, they had a lot less. They only had about 1,200, including comps. So they're not putting out any pictures from the television taping. By the way, PCO said he was going to do an interview with me, but I needed to get it approved by the TNA people. So we'll see if they'll do that for me. Sorry, brain fog. Leo Burke, Eastern Canadian wrestling legend, who I trained with a little bit back in 2001, was a star of Stampede Wrestling and Grand Prix Wrestling, passed away this week at the age of 76. He had been wrestling since he was 18. So that's about it. I'll look at your question. Mike D, the Paul Diamond interview is tomorrow. Jack Kilby, Jumping Jack Kilby's doing it. Good afternoon, Humble. Is Jeremy Prophet still in Great North Wrestling? Jeremy Prophet and Jack Kilby hate each other. So as long as Jack Kilby is involved with promoting events, I don't think they're going to use Jeremy. I'm still friends with him. I was not. I broke my ankle. Like I shattered my ankle. Just their little disagreement never would have happened if I had been at the show. But apparently they had a blow up, and I wasn't there to settle it down. So they hate each other now. Lafayette, Indiana, in the house. Humble, that is a very true point. Ring of Honor was never a money-making promotion. I think its best days, as far as making money, I think was when Rob Feinstein was running it back. I think it may have been around before. It was like right when WCW and ECW closed. I think Ring of Honor, when Rob Feinstein was involved, was quite money-making. But yeah, Ring of Honor. I mean, there's so much AEW crossover talent in it, anyways, that it pretty much is AEW Ring of Honor. But yeah, I'm not a fan of it. Demolition Crush in the Hall of Fame. I agree. They call the 6-man titles trios title. Jannetty in the Hall of Fame 2025. Yes, and again, he's going to be on with me soon. Billy Jack news. Well, they're doing a dark side of the ring on him. From what I understand from his cellmate's sister, who I talk to regularly, and he passes messages to me through her, that they have money to get him bailed out. They're waiting for a bail hearing, but from what I understand from his lawyer, it's unlikely he will be bailed out. There's no news on an actual trial date. Will I be interviewing cheerleader Melissa? I've already interviewed her. Search cheerleader Melissa on the Hannibal TV. How long does he have left to do? I don't think Billy, I'll be honest with you guys, I don't think Billy Jack Haynes will ever get out of jail. That's just my honest opinion. He made a horrible mistake, whether it was, like, I do believe that it was probably a mercy killing. But he didn't get her to sign a paper agreeing to it, and like it was just a bad thing to do. Unfortunately, a bad decision to make. But Billy Jack, I think, is in his 70s now. Like, and I know he has a lot of health problems. Like, I just don't see him getting out of jail. Yes, he shot his wife. Update on Kevin Sullivan. I heard from Andrew Anderson that he's not doing very well still. He's not doing well at all. Who was released? Watch the start. Beth Phoenix, Bobby Lashley, and MVP. And on that news, I'll see you guys in a bit with the Marty Jannetty interview. If I was a talented wrestler, I would not work for WWE at all. Well, the minimum pay is $350,000. I would take that to be a jobber, to be honest with you. I really wouldn't care because I work regular jobs. And I know what it's like to actually have to work for a living. So I would definitely be a jobber for 350 grand. Have a good afternoon. Give this video a thumbs up, please.